Hey everybody, welcome to the Outer Belt Podcast. I am Patrick Lee. Over to my right, I got Vince, also known as Chili.
Hey. What it is. What it would be.
What it isn't.
What it isn't. Good question.
And on my left, I've got the man of the hour, my producer, J-Bear.
Hey everybody.
We got to teach y'all how to do this.
Yep. We got to work on that.
We got to work on that. That was terrible.
We really do. It was horrible.
Horrible.
It's all right. Our one viewer will let us know how horrible it was.
You know, we've done over 100 views consistently.
That's awesome.
That's a lot.
That's awesome.
It's not bad.
I just put it on replay. I wrote a script. It just replays.
I have it playing on every device. We have
There you go.
We have a couple different iPads for the business and for
Right.
personal,
Yeah.
and then we have 3 laptop computers, and then we have the Apple TV. So we just get it on.
Everything.
I'm responsible for like 8 of those,
Everything.
140 something
Yeah.
views. But what a beautiful day that has been!
Oh, it was
I
gorgeous
mean,
today.
outstanding,
Gorgeous.
right?
Oh my goodness. I put my jacket on and walked out to the car, opened the garage door, took my jacket off, and now I'm wearing shorts.
It was so pretty. I actually went to storage today. I actually went to the yard and came out and saw everybody. And I didn't necessarily do work per se, but I swapped vehicles around. Twice. I was actually out there twice.
You were out there twice today.
Yeah. No, it was beautiful. It was a little breezy. Not gonna lie about that.
You know what though? The breeze didn't pick up till about 1:30.
Yeah.
And it was nice. It picked up later on in the afternoon, so it was a beautiful day to be out and about.
It really was. I tell you, I noticed that breeze. So I had to go swap out my personal vehicle for our 12-passenger van. I like to run them, every now and then when we don't kind of go between lulls of not using them. So I like to get them, take them around for a spin, put a few miles on them, keep everything fresh, and then I'll put it back to sleep in a couple days. But driving that 12-passenger van down the interstate, I found all the wind.
All the wind right now, right here.
Yeah, I was just driving it thinking like, man, I wish I was in an Acura.
Just cutting through that wind with that all-wheel drive.
Oh, just cutting through.
Yeah.
Low and fast.
There you go.
I was tall and I still went fast, but that's neither here nor there. Listen, when you buy a 12-passenger van with a V10,
Yeah.
you got to open it up.
gotta
I mean,
open it
what's
up.
the point of having it if you can't open it
got
up a
to.
little bit?
Got to make sure you can haul all that weight.
Absolutely. And you got to get rid of all that old gas and get
All
new
of it,
gas in
yep.
there.
Clear it out.
Clear it out.
No turpentine.
Turpentine.
Isn't that what gas turns into?
Is it?
It sits for a while.
Jerry?
I don't know. My car is set for months at a time.
That's what my grandfather used to tell me.
Yeah. Well, in your car set for months at a time and never had an issue.
No, it always started.
It always started.
It didn't run very good, but it started.
Except for when the battery's dead, right?
Yeah, and that was like every other month.
Oh, yeah. It's, we talk about the things that as a trucker, it's difficult on. It is difficult on your family being a trucker. It is a difficult on your body being a trucker. But let's talk about the real victim here. It is difficult to be a trucker's car.
It is.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like you come home, you drive the heck out of it, and then you put it away, and then you don't see it again for 6, 8, 12 weeks, and it just sits there lonely, just wanting to be taken out. It's
sad.
It's sad. It
It's
is.
sad. It's sad the abuse they take because they want to get used.
They do. That's what they're there for.
They're there to get used, get driven.
Absolutely. And it's not like you can FaceTime with them or
No, you
call them
can't.
or anything. They're just there
I
sitting
don't
there
know.
lonely.
Maybe with the new ones, newer cars, you can. Oh, Jerry, you have a newer car. Can you FaceTime with your car?
No, it's got a hotspot, but
Oh, well.
Yeah.
can't FaceTime with it.
Can you see the cameras from your phone or something? The cameras in the car from your phone?
Not this one.
Oh,
I mean, I've got some stuff, that's, like start it and unlock the doors,
Right.
flash the lights. I can talk to it with Alexa.
doesn't matter.
You
though,
can
'cause you're
talk
not,
to it
you're
with
not on the
Alexa.
road anymore, so all that stuff doesn't matter. 'Cause I was going to say you can at least start it from the road and it runs.
Right.
I don't even know if you can do that. I'm just talking out my butt here, but
Well, yeah, you can. So I drive a Jeep, and the programming it came with from my phone. Now there's an app I can download, Uconnect or something from Chrysler,
right.
and I can actually turn the Jeep on. I can get the seats heated if I wanted or whatever.
Yeah.
But the the catch is that it came with 6 whole months of that service, and then after that, you got to pay for it.
That subscription service.
Yeah, subscription service.
Stuff.
Yeah.
On my car, I thought the same thing, but starting with 23, they give you 3 years complimentary.
Well, I think that's how it should be. So, Freightliner, for example, they're virtual technician. So when one of our Freightliner trucks breaks down or even has like a check engine light, or there's a whole plethora of stuff.
Sure.
If you drive the thing too fast, like before shifting gears or anything like that, it will actually send an email out saying, hey, this happened. So, hey, the truck went too fast, or hey, and when I say too fast, I mean like the engine went too fast. It overrevs, exactly. Yeah. Or hey, there's a DPF issue or something like that. I got one today that was, hey, the accelerator pedal is not reading properly.
Wow.
Which is funny because it actually lists everything in importance. So it'll actually say like, hey, this is important. Hey, this is a maintenance item to get fixed next time it's in town. It can go for a few months like this. Just eventually look at it. And some are like, fix me right now or I'm going to leave you on the side of the road. And some of them are, your truck's on the side of the road. So they do vary in levels of importance. But when they first came out, they were giving you 1 year. Now they give you 5 years. They just go ahead and throw that in the price of the truck. 5 years, default. Every Freightliner truck gets that. Actually, I think the medium duties might only get 3 years. But still, it's like, that makes sense.
It does.
You're spending that much money, you might as well get that coverage. And so for Jeep to say like, 6 months is good, I'm like, come on, really?
Well, from the consumer perspective or the customer perspective, it makes sense. I have a vehicle for this long with a warranty that's this long. It makes sense. But from the manufacturer's perspective, it doesn't, because they can make more money from you with that subscription service. And that's why they're doing subscription services, right?
Yeah.
So they can make more money.
I get that. And look, I love Jeep, but Chrysler's never really been the best financial situation the whole time it's been in business. So I understand they're like trying to find ways to make more money. But I'd be curious to see, because I don't know. I haven't looked into it. What is Ford? What is GMC? What's Toyota doing? Do they even have those options? If so, what are they doing? I just bought another Jeep because I had a Jeep and I loved it, and so
It's a nice car.
Upgraded to the next Jeep.
Yeah, I like the Jeeps. A lot of the reason they're doing these subscription services is because they can have vehicles that are at different trim levels. The computer module is exactly the same.
Yeah.
And they can turn on and off these different features, right?
Yeah.
So if I send out a base model car and the next level up comes with remote start on the remote control, well, don't be surprised that base model car has the exact same remote and the remote start doesn't work because it hasn't been enabled. Well, hey, Mr. Lee, for $100 a year, we can enable remote start for you remotely. Yeah. So it just allows you to add on. The argument there too is that you don't pay for things that you don't need.
I get that.
Maybe you don't want remote start, but you want heated mirrors or whatever the case may be that you want. So you can a la carte choose what you want. So that's one of their arguments as well. I can kind of see that, but
I see that as well. It's just the nickel and dime on a subscription basis.
Sure.
I would rather pay. And this is the crazy thing. Like, let's say that remote start really is $100 a year.
Right.
I would rather pay $1,000 up front to have it all the time. But when
Agreed.
you do the math on it, if I keep the car for 5 years, I'd have been better off paying $100 a month.
And if you think about it, if you finance that $1,000 up front, they're getting finance charges as well.
Absolutely.
So,
I think everything's going to subscription based too.
I think so.
You see that in the computer industry, and then you look at Tesla. It's $7,500 up front for the self-driving, but they're going to go to a subscription-based model as well.
Yep. Well, I remember kind of the first like real news I heard about this was from BMW. BMW was charging a monthly subscription for wireless CarPlay. So if you had a BMW car and you had your iPhone cable hooked up to it, you'd have CarPlay. That came with the car.
Right.
But if you wanted to enable the wireless CarPlay, you had to pay that subscription every month for it. And I know that really upset a bunch of people because it's like, I'm buying a BMW. What do you mean I have a subscription? So they kind of, I think we're the trendsetters. They started it, and everybody else is kind of jumping on the bandwagon. I will say Jeep is giving me they're still giving me the health updates on my vehicle. So I still get an email. I don't think it's monthly. I think it's like every 3 months, but it might be monthly.
So quarterly, maybe?
Maybe quarterly. Just an update saying like, hey, by the way, here's how many miles are on your Jeep. Here's your oil change level. Everything looks good on. There's no warning codes, yada, yada, yada. So they are sending me that still.
Sure.
Even though the other stuff has already stopped working. I also only got 6 months of XM radio, which is weird because normally doesn't XM radio give you a year on most new cars?
They've changed that recently, though. I mean, my first car with XM, I had a 2006 Dodge Charger. It came with a year, but I know recently they've changed that. Again, it's a money thing.
Yeah, I get that.
So
yeah, mine was 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, it's even tighter.
Yeah. It's funny that they give you that service, the vehicle health, for the first 6 months, when usually you're not going to have those problems with the vehicle. It seems like they'd put that on the back end. Maybe at 3 years, they start sending you those updates saying, here's what's wrong with your car. I don't know.
Or they just want me to get used to it, and then maybe there is a deal where in 3 or 4 years they're going to say, hey, if you like doing this,
right, you can
keep paying for it. Yeah.
Sure.
And like that's what Freightliner does. If you want to continue that virtual technician service, you can get a annual subscription to it. It's $100-something a year. It's not bad.
No, it's not bad. Not for a truck that you spent how much money on to begin with, and you rely on to earn a living.
Absolutely, yeah. And for I imagine for the individual owner operator with one truck sitting there, not the biggest thing in the world because you see what's wrong with your truck. You can just pull it up on the little screen. But for someone who has a fleet of trucks, it's super helpful. Because if a truck's in California and I'm in Ohio, I can't very well see what's wrong with it.
No.
I remember back in the day, before this came out, we were like, all right, read me the code. And you'd write down, all right, SPN 150-97624. Then you go online and cross-reference it and look it up, only to find out that code doesn't exist on your truck.
Right.
And you're like, but I'm
seeing it.
But it's on that truck.
Right.
Or have to get someone to like send you a picture of it. And
been there.
And what they would say was an 8 was actually like the 0 with the line through it. And it's like, oh, that's a 0. That's not an 8. Like just all kinds of little things like that.
Yeah.
It just, and my favorite is the code where it's like, it can be this, or this. And it's like, oh, that's super helpful.
They don't relate to each other in
At
the way
all.
you think they would. But somewhere in an engineer's brain, they completely tie in together.
Yeah, it's like transmission speed sensor, left blinker short, right inner dual on the second axle, low pressure. You're like...
Marker light fluid low.
Exactly. You're like, what? How does this make sense? But it does. And yeah, so I don't miss those days. I very much like the new technology, the virtual technician. It's really cool. I got to get my Freightliner dealership with this, but we're supposed to be able to actually go online and be able to do programming changes on the new Cascadias and the new Western Stars.
Really?
So we're supposed to be able to go in and be like, all right, what would be a good example of this? Okay, so on our trucks, we have APUs, generators, auxiliary power units. We're all familiar with those. Yep. So for those that you don't know, that means like when you're parked, we have a little generator on the truck that's hooked up to an air conditioner and heater, so you can stay warm or cold, independent of what's happening outside. Comfortable, yes, and it gives you power to run your laptop or television or what have you. So you can live very comfortably inside the, I was going to say the RV, but inside the truck. Basically it's an RV. And so what a lot of people with these will do is they will make the engine have a timer on it. So after a couple minutes of the engine just running without the vehicle moving, it'll just automatically turn itself off. We do not engage that feature because the generators, the APUs, as good as they are, they're just not 100% perfect.
Sure.
And so if they break down, we don't want our drivers going without air conditioner heat. We want to have that second option of being able to turn the truck on and cool the cab down or heat it up or what have you. Or build a little bit of electricity so you don't kill your batteries. So we...
being able to program that remotely, it sounds like you're going to say.
Thank you. I was like, how does this relate to what I'm saying?
With this.
So yes, nowadays, that's one thing you're supposed to be able to do. So we could actually engage that timer across our fleet. And then if, we get a call, hey, my APU just died, I can't get to come back on. Cool. Let me log online real quick. And... all right, you're good to go. You can idle your truck now. Right. So, like, those are some really cool features that I would like to be able to take advantage of. We're supposed to have access to it. I have not figured it out yet. I have looked on there, I've scratched my head, and the website was designed by engineers who have no clue about a graphical interface.
Yeah. Who's your IT guy? Maybe you should get him on that.
I think I'm sitting with both of them.
That's just my way of saying, if you want somebody to look into it, just, say the word. We'll look into it. I'll get with those guys over there and see what's going on. I want to learn more about the new Cascadias and the Western Stars too. I mean, I took one truck over to a Freightliner because the tractor, because I thought the windshield wipers weren't working right. They weren't working right, but I had no idea that they had that rain sensing intermittent feature on them.
Yeah.
And now I know. So I don't know if I need to start pulling out owner's manuals on these trucks and going through them and learning more on that way, or if I can talk to that guy over there and see if he'll help me out.
Yeah, I think,
if he even knows.
Well, there's that too. Like, they're changing the truck so fast. I know we've got an order of trucks I just finalized, and they are a new model. And so we were talking through some of the stuff, and we're like going to Freightliner's website and looking at pictures and trying to make sense of, okay, how's that really going to look or work in the cab and all this stuff. And really what it comes down to is he's like, I'm going to let you know the very first one that hits our lot. I'm calling you, come over, and we're going to literally go through the thing and figure it out. Because without putting your hands on it, some of the stuff they're saying just is like, wow, that really doesn't make any sense.
Sure.
Like, how's that going to work?
Yeah.
So it's a little tricky when they do these model changes. And like the new Cascadia, it's been out a little bit. The new Western Star stuff's brand new.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's definitely quite the curve. We actually are getting the last 5 traditional 5700s.
Are we really?
Yeah. Like, they're no moss after these. And then everything's moving to the new
59X?
57X?
I was saying 57X?
Yeah, that's a 49X that we have now for that tractor.
Yeah.
But I think everything's going 57X. It's going to be a little more aerodynamic, a little more fuel efficient.
Gotcha.
So
hopefully some of that technology that I learned about on the new one will carry over on the 57X.
Yes.
If that's what we're going to call it.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of that, too, is like, Western Star and Freightliner are essentially the same company. They're both owned by Daimler Trucks North America, and they're just trying to do what every other automaker does, make it things that can be similar. So it's the cab, the outer bones of a Cascadia cab is now going to be the outer bones of the Western Star cab. So when you go inside, you're like, oh, this looks familiar, but it's not an identical replication, but it does have a very familiar vibe.
Let me tell you what I want.
I'll tell you what you want.
What I really, really want. I need for them to stop screwing with the in-cab air filters on these trucks.
Oh, my.
I mean, the Cascadia is easy. No tools required. Slide the little cover off, slide the air filter out, pop a new one in, cover back on. Unless Bolt decides to run the AC lines right across the darn thing. The Western Star 5700, oh my goodness. It's got 2 filters you have to replace. You have to slide one in, raise it up inside the compartment, hold it there somehow, and slide the other one in underneath it. It's ridiculous.
But, I mean,
It's Daimler.
What about the M2?
The M2 is cake compared to the Western Star.
Is it?
I can do that in 5 minutes now. I've done enough of them. It's a pain too.
Yeah.
The hardest part on the M2, honestly, is getting the front cover back on and the screw holes lined up.
Yeah.
Once you've done it 3 or 4 times, it's easy. It really is. But when you go from the Western Star that requires 3 different tools to open up to the Cascadia that requires 0 tools, come on, give me a break.
Well, it's like headlights, right? I remember back when
it is.
Our very first truck we ever drove required screwdrivers and wrenches to replace a headlight bulb.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then we moved to the ones that have the toolless ones. So you just undo a little plate in the back, and then you twist lock the bulb out, and it's nice and easy. And now we've gone to full LED where it's a sealed case.
Yeah. The whole thing gets replaced.
The whole thing gets
in 50 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that progression. It's nice to
that tractor, the Western Star 49X, actually has heated headlights because the LEDs don't get hot enough.
Yeah.
It'll actually melt off the snow buildup, and you can see at night.
I saw that. That's going to be super nice.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Really
I'm curious how well it's going to last. I mean, I love new technology, but there's sometimes I see some of these things they're putting on trucks, and I'm like, that's a great idea. Let's see how well that actually. Let's see what the dependability is.
I think that defrost technology's been there for years, though, not in headlights necessarily, but in the back window of a car.
Absolutely.
It's been there for years. They've been doing heated mirrors for how long now?
I agree, but we've also had heated windshields and the on the Volvos, and those fail. Most of those Volvos fail within a year or two.
Volvo.
Well, I understand.
They've gotten better recently, I understand, but they were not the best trucks around for a while.
Okay.
This is just what I've heard. This is just what I've heard. The company I worked for before I came to Hyfield had a fleet of only Volvos for a long time and had so many problems that they stopped buying Volvos and went strictly Cascadias. Right when I was leaving, they were buying Volvos again because they had improved their quality and longevity. Now, this is all on my part. It's hearsay. I don't have any firsthand knowledge. So, Volvo, please don't sue me.
Here at the Out About Podcast, we always like to thank our corporate non-sponsors.
Yes, thank them so much for their non-support.
And today's non-sponsor is Lever 2000, the soap of champions.
Love their soap.
I do too. Lever 2000 is soap we've all experienced at one time in our life, and we just want to thank them so much for their continued support, our non-support of our podcast. If you haven't had a chance to try them, good luck finding them.
Give them a shot, though. You look for them, find them. They're good soap. They get you clean.
They do get you clean. That's actually their tagline. Lever 2000 for when you've partied like it's 1999.
Lever 2000, amazing soap. The original scent was my favorite because it didn't smell like anything but soap.
Yeah.
It smelled clean.
It was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lovely stuff.
Lovely stuff. So, Vince, I was actually reading some articles the other day about this new stuff going around for CDL drivers being under the age of 21. So, a little backstory. If you are under 21, so 18 years old to 21 years old, you are 18 to 20 years old, you are not legally allowed to have a CDL and cross state lines. You can have a CDL if you're of those age, but you had to stay within your state.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was reading an article, and it was fascinating, and I just found another article that kind of relates to it. So the first one, they were saying, I believe Freightways actually had the I believe it was Freightways that had the article out. They were talking about port cities, and they were saying that as a CDL driver under the age of 21, drivers, they are not allowed to go pick up freight at a port, so like a shipping port,
right,
and then bring it to the local warehouse, because once they cross the threshold of that port property, they're no longer technically in the state because it's international, free trade area.
So I can't pick up here at the Port of Columbus, the deep water port here, and take it to the warehouse 2 miles away in Columbus.
That is correct. If we were on the water, yes, that would be correct. You would not,
wow.
If you were under the age of 21.
That's, wow. Okay.
But you would be able to, if we were in Texas, you'd be able to pick up something in Laredo and drive it all the way to Dallas-Fort Worth or up to Amarillo.
Wow.
That's totally legal. You can't go to Corpus Christi and get something off the water, off the port. That would be illegal. So
seems odd.
It is very odd. So there's a senator out there that's pushing this to get changed to where they're saying there needs to be in the language an exception for people to be able, or for people under the age of 21 to be able to actually do this if they're still within the same physical border of the state.
To sort of pick up in a port in Texas and deliver to a warehouse in Texas.
Correct. Or in Florida.
Right.
This particular center was out of Florida.
Whatever state the port is in, deliver in that same state.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So like out in California,
Sure.
think about the major driver shortage and all the issues they're having around the port of Los Angeles.
Long Beach, yeah.
Yep. They're saying, be able to get these younger drivers in there that can already drive in their state legally. Like, it's not. So we're not even talking about like a controversial thing like being able to cross state lines. We're talking about just being able to pick up and deliver within their own state. That being able to happen. And I thought it was interesting. It seems ridiculous that it has to go this far. It seems like something that there's just the Department of Transportation would be able to
just handle it.
Yeah. But they are not willing to handle it, and it is it's a very weird situation. That I thought about talking about with you, and then I was like, I don't know, maybe not. But I ran across this article today, and that's why I decided let me bring this back up. There is a company out of Ohio, Pitt Ohio Express, or LTL carrier, less than truckload carrier, and they are actually petitioning the government to ease CDL rule for teaching young drivers, so under the age of 21, how to drive and be able to do interstate commerce with them. And I was like, that seems weird because I'm pretty sure that's already allowed. We already know you can drive under the age of 21 with a CDL. So I didn't really understand. So I read the article, and basically what they're saying is this company has a apprenticeship program in store where they could take people with CDLs, 18 years old to 20 years old, and actually run them in the truck and teach them how to drive, cross into Pennsylvania or wherever, and be able to actually utilize that pool of drivers.
So that apprenticeship program is already in place.
It's already in place.
Okay. And my understanding is there's certain criteria you have to meet in order to have that. It's not just, anybody can do it. There's certain criteria you have to meet in order to be able to run that apprenticeship program, correct?
Exactly. And so the big thing is they're saying you have to have a CDL, which I think all of us would go, well, that makes sense. You're going to be operating a truck. You need to have CDL.
Sure.
However, it restricts CDL learner's permits. So if you have a CDL learner's permit and you need a company like this to train you, like that's pretty normal for CDL A, you cannot do it. They are restricting it only to people who already have their CDL completely.
So in order to join the apprenticeship program as a 19-year-old to be able to run interstate commerce, I have to have a CDL.
Yes.
Currently.
Yes.
Along with the other restrictions.
Correct. So you have to have already gone through truck driving school, had basically a company sponsor you, get your CDL completely, and then hope to get into this apprenticeship program.
Wow, that seems like it's going to encumber people from being able to not be able to run the program, but actually to take the time to get their CDL if they can go do something else.
Absolutely. I agree with you. It's kind of silly. A little background on this apprenticeship program. What the FMCSA is trying to do is they're trying to see if we have these younger drivers and they put them in a truck and we run them across interstate commerce lines, how are they going to respond? How are they going to work? Are they going to be able to fulfill all the requirements necessary? Are they going to be mature and appropriate and not wreck the truck, not drive reckless? And so the FMCSA is actually doing this as a pilot program. They're trying to get this. They're trying to get this done so they can get some data built. Because right now we don't know. The law's been 21 for ages.
For yeah.
Yeah. So we don't know how they're going to do. So the FMCSA put this program out there, and regardless if you're for it or against it, we got to have some data, right? So most people are okay with at least the pilot program of trying it, even if you're not really sure if you want this to become a full law. But they were trying to get 3,000 apprenticeships across the entire federal government, and they have not been able to do it. And one of the main things they're saying is people don't, in that age group, they're not going to go out and get their CDL hoping that maybe they'll be able to get this job. And so the trucking companies are saying, hey, let us, this particular one, Pitt, Ohio, is saying, let us be able to bring a CDL learner's permit in. We'll train them. They're already a training company, so that's not, and that's in their scope of what they do.
That's one of the requirements for this apprenticeship program is you have to be a training company to begin with.
Correct. And you're just going to be a fully licensed CDL holder in the passenger seat guiding you along.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to petition the government to let them have an exemption to that one rule. And what the government is doing is they're actually saying, you know what? it may not be a bad
Yeah,
idea.
it may not be.
And so they're actually trying to work and see if they can do the entire, like every company that is doing this apprenticeship program has this ability. Because now to get your CDL learner's permit, you're basically going to have to go and study the written portion of it,
Right.
go to class, but not the full thing, just enough to get your written portion down,
Sure.
take the test, then you get your CDL learner's permit, so you have the knowledge, and then they're saying from that point we'll take over and we'll be able to train them how to drive, as opposed to them going out and spending thousands of dollars at a school to get their
CDL,
get their full CDL, not knowing if they'll have a job to be able to fall back on.
I think even though some of these programs, and I'm not sure what Pitt, Ohio's program looks like, but some of these trucking companies that have their own schools will actually start you from nothing, where you come to the school, the first thing you do is work towards getting your learner's permit, and then they put you on the road with a trainer to get your hours behind the wheel.
Yeah.
And so they put you through the entire process of the required hours that the government requires now for your actual CDL.
Yeah.
So
one thing it was interesting was, they want to get 3,000 people to try this, get them out there on the road, see if the apprenticeship works, see if the crash rates go up, make sure everything is safe drivers and all that such thing. But then they're saying, so this sounds like, wow, this is a ton of, this will be a ton of people that are going to be entering this program. This is realistically, Pitt, Ohio is estimating 25 people.
Yeah, it's a very small program.
Yeah.
It's a regional company. It's a very small program.
And to see that it's like taking so much effort to get this accomplished, where the whole pilot program isn't really working out. They're not getting the number of people. I just thought it was interesting that everybody's nervous about the younger drivers coming to drive, and yet, here we are. We have this program that works out, and they're not even really expecting to get that large number of people from it.
Right. If we can remove some of the roadblocks for somebody that's 18, 19 years old that wants to do this, CDL school is not cheap. When I did it back in 2018, I want to say it was $4,400. I think the prices have gone up because now everyone's required to go through CDL school. You can't just do your self-training anymore.
Yeah.
So if we're going to offer this program, if we're serious about it, we need to remove that hindrance. We're still going to have students going through school. They're not walking into a DMV or BMV like it is in Ohio here and taking a test and getting a learner's permit. They have to have those hours in order to get that learner's permit and go through that process to get their license.
Yeah.
So.
And then hopefully we'll get the data we need to be able to make an informed decision. Yeah. I was reading there's another article on that OIDA put out where they were talking about can we even insure someone under 21 years old? Will there even be an insurance company that'll underwrite that? Yeah. And it came back to depends. We got to see how the study comes out.
Sure.
And then we have to see like your larger companies that self-insure, they're going to be able to put up the extra money for the bond to be able to get the more of the drivers in, versus your smaller mom and pops are going to struggle with it until we get years of history of saying, yeah, this actually
These
works.
younger drivers can be safe.
Because at the end of the day, if they have the same safety rating as the rest of the industry, it's not really based on your age. It's based on how many years experience you have.
Sure.
So if you can be, 20 years old with 2 years of driving experience, you can get the same rate as a 40-year-old with 2 years of driving experience.
Well, and imagine what it's like now with zero experience when you come in, you get your CDL at 21, and you can actually go to work for somebody who's going to hire you. They want to see experience.
Absolutely.
You can get a CDL at 25 and have zero experience. You have very limited options of where you can go to work because people want more experience.
Absolutely. And insurance companies are driving that up and up and up. Right now, most companies are seeing that insurance companies are saying we want to see at least 3 years of experience before we'll insure you. Whereas
it's tough.
A decade ago, a year, 6 months to a year was fine.
Yep. Jerry, can we add a link to the FMCSA website? I'll send it over to you that actually explains what the program is. There's a lot of requirements in this program just for a company to register and be able to have the apprenticeship program. And actually, the program is called the Safe Driver Apprenticeship Pilot Program. That's a lot of P's.
It is.
But that's what the program is that originally that we're talking about. And there's a lot of requirements. So we're not just putting 21-year-old or 18, 19-year-old drivers in a truck. The company has to meet a lot of requirements for their training program, the equipment they're putting these drivers in. So they're being very careful about putting these drivers out there. So I'll get you the link, Jerry.
I'll also add that to our Facebook and Instagram as well. So if you are following us on those sources, you'll be able to find it as well. It's very interesting. I'm excited to see what's going to happen there. You know, when we talk about other forms of driving, I mean, people are driving at the age of 15. I know I was, with obviously limited ability to drive, but still driving then. You know, to actually get a pilot's license, it's 16. So you can fly an airplane at 16 years old, cross state lines.
But can you do it commercially?
You can't do it commercially until you turn 18.
So only 18 to fly commercially, but you have to be 21 to drive across state lines.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, there's a whole, you know, quantity of people. I mean, there's, you know, 1 million plus truck drivers. There's not that many.
I get it, but the responsibility is still similar.
Absolutely.
If not more in an airplane, I think.
I agree.
I mean, if I have an issue on a truck, I can pull over to the side of the road and call for help. If I'm in a plane,
it's not a lot of options.
There's not a lot. I can call for help. Can they get a tow truck, a tow plane to me right away?
Yeah.
You know, get me out of the sky. I'm being
no doubt.
a little facetious, but
they're both equal. I don't know about equally dangerous, but they're both dangerous modes of transportation.
Certainly.
There's a certain amount of risk involved with both of them. I mean, a truck driving down the road crashes into a beam or not a beam, a bridge or something. It can kill them. They can kill other people around.
Oh, sure, it's dangerous.
Airplanes can land on a house, or you know what I mean. Like,
certainly,
there's danger in both of them. But it is interesting. I think most people, if you asked what's more difficult, being a pilot or being a truck driver, most people are probably going to say the pilot has the harder job, and yet they have the easier barrier.
Well, can I ask a question?
Sure.
What's your opinion?
My opinion is that we should take this. We should do the study with the 3,000 apprenticeships and get some data and base our opinion on the data, not on feelings, not on emotions.
I agree.
I think that's one of the things, you know, as Americans, we just don't do a whole lot of really good at in the government of basing things based on facts. We tend to base things more on opinion. And it's nice to see an actual study being attempted. But speaking of pilots, I've got my airplane here of the day. I've got, we're going to round out this trip we've been talking about, this little jaunt over to Switzerland Eric and I did for a long weekend. This is a Swiss airplane. We flew from Zurich to Frankfurt. That's a lie.
It is?
No, it's not.
Frankfurt, Germany?
Yes, it was Frankfurt. Okay. We flew from Zurich to Frankfurt on a little bitty jet, and this is that jet. I was very excited because it's an A220 by Airbus.
It's teeny tiny.
It's teeny tiny. It's almost impossible to see in the camera, but there'll be a picture of it up on Facebook and Instagram. This is an airplane that was designed by Bombardier out of Canada.
Canada, okay.
And they wanted to. It's a regional jet, and it's a really good regional jet. It's super fuel efficient. It's very nice. It's a beautiful layout. They really thought it through. I mean, most of the regional jets we're all used to, the puddle jumpers, the really tiny planes. Most of those were designed 30 years ago. So this is one that was just designed less than a decade ago. And so I finally get to fly one out in Switzerland. And so the whole deal with it is Delta, small airline here in America, Delta Airlines, they tried to buy like 100 of these things, and Boeing lost their mind because they were buying these Canadian airplanes, and apparently the Canadian government helps pay for some of Bombardier's costs.
Oh, so they're subsidized by the government.
And so exactly. And so there are rules about fair.
I see.
Fair competition and such.
Right.
So where Delta was not able to, or was allowed to buy these, but the judgment finally came back that they would have to pay, I believe it was a 200 or 300% tariff on it.
Wow.
So it was just impossibly expensive.
Not worth the price at that point.
Exactly. So Airbus, which is a European airplane maker, they actually have a United States division down in Mobile, Alabama.
Okay.
So they actually partnered with Bombardier.
Okay.
And said, hey, we'll build your airplane down in Mobile, Alabama. We'll sell it as this Airbus A220, and now you've got an American-built airplane by not a Canadian subsidized company, and basically work around the whole ruling.
Right.
And that's exactly what they did. It was so successful, Airbus ended up buying the entire program.
Really?
So Bombardier is completely out of it. They don't have anything to do with the plane they designed. Airbus solely makes it. They make it both in Europe, and they also make it down in Mobile. But Swiss was the very first people to buy it. They're the launch customers for the airline. And so we got to actually fly this thing. So I say all that to say, it's such a cool plane. It's the fuel efficiency, the things that are good for the planet, that's great. But the important thing is, it's so quiet. You know how, like on a normal airplane, when you get ready to take off, the engines roar, and maybe the air conditioner blows a little harder during that part, and
that's when you really want your noise canceling headphones.
Yes, it's when you want your noise canceling headphones on. You hear babies scream as they're starting to climb out and everything. This plane, these new engines are so quiet, you could just have a conversation, and you can't even tell that it's really changed.
Impressive.
It's outrageously nice. So once you're in the air, like at your altitude, you can't even tell they're on. It is wild. So like I said, Delta bought 100 of these, and they're starting to introduce those in the U.S. network. So I'm sure at some point, if you're listening to this, you probably will fly on them.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
And but they're just a really cool little plane. So I had to buy it, and
so this was just from the Zurich to Frankfurt leg?
Yes. Now, what was crazy about this, too, is Zurich to Frankfurt. That's really close. That's like flying Detroit to Chicago. I mean, it's a really short trip. And they served us breakfast. we got these little like boxes, and they were like, "Here's breakfast," and we're like, "What?" And we opened it up, and there's like not a bagel, but like a muffin, and there's like a little yogurt dish, and it's like, really okay, and,
awesome.
Mimosa, a little champagne and orange juice. Sure. I mean, it ended up being a really enjoyable flight. Totally unexpected. I just knew on a flight this short, you're not getting anything.
Nothing.
We're going to get maybe a bottle of
They'll
water.
toss you a bag of peanuts, maybe.
Yes, maybe.
Like toss you from the front. If you catch it, great. If you don't,
not even a flight attendant. The pilot is just going to throw it over his shoulder. But no, it was
handful of them.
Yeah, handful of them. You'll catch them if they get in the aisle. But no, I mean, just that Swiss Airlines, they like everything Swiss is nice, but the Swiss Airlines, they really know how to treat their passengers, and it was a really enjoyable trip. But again, the thing that just blew me away was just how incredibly quiet the airplane was. So
interesting facts.
That is the Airbus A220 by Swiss Airlines. Yeah.
Well, I have an update. If you have time, I don't know how much time we have left.
We have all the time.
Jerry will probably cut me off right now.
No,
doesn't get an update.
You're good.
So a couple weeks ago, our first episode,
yes,
we started the podcast with a story about.
Was that episode 1.5?
Episode 1.5.
Okay.
About Cologuard, and I have an update. I got my results back this week. I was asked by ones of people how it went, and so to be honest, after I lost count of how many people asked me what the results were. I lost count after one. So they did come back this week in negative. My results came back negative.
I'm so sorry.
For the next 3 years, I tested it in 3 years. I have a clean bill of health.
Oh, so negative's good.
Negative's good.
Oh,
yes,
well, congratulations.
good. I appreciate the condolences, but negative is good.
Yeah,
so,
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that ends poop talk for today.
Well, at least everything's... I can't even think of a funny thing to say.
Yeah. And that's podcast worthy or clean or
just funny.
Safe.
Or just funny.
I can't think of something funny?
I can't think of anything funny.
Well, we joked about it, and we're attempting jokes now, but colon health is important. It's something that people don't take seriously, or they're concerned about the testing process. But it's important that you do, especially when you get to be my age, old. It's an important thing to do to make sure that you are healthy. And with this Cologuard thing, it's a lot simpler than it used to be.
Absolutely. Well, and it's the joke of a bunch of
use your words. Come on.
What's it called? A television show that comes on in the afternoon or in the evening is also called a sitcom. Well, it's a joke of a bunch of sitcoms, right? Like the whole idea is, the guy turns 50 years old, and it's like, all right, well, the doctor slaps on the
you hear the
glove.
You see the glove and the snap, and that's actually for a different test, but same idea. Those are also tests that we men don't necessarily like, but 50 years old. Actually, they recommend I think 45 now for the colorectal cancer screening.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's something that's important to do. It really is. And I, went beyond that 45 to 52 before I had it done.
Jeez.
And to be honest,
wasn't that bad?
If it hadn't been for the text or the email I got from my doctor saying that Cologuard was an option, I wouldn't be telling you this story right now about anything. It wouldn't be done. Honest engine.
Miracle of modern medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought outside of being able to tell whether or not you had corn last night, I didn't think you could learn anything. So it's a miracle of what we figured out.
And he found the joke. Nice.
Sometimes you got to go searting.
Sometimes
it's a deep dive.
Yep,
you got to
deep dive. Oh, yeah, but I'm glad you found it.
I try.
You know what I'm looking forward to? I mean, it's late February?
Yes.
Looking forward to the end of March when we get to go to Matt's.
Oh.
Mid-America Truck Show down in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes.
March 30th through April 2nd.
Yes, it is so much fun.
Looking forward to that.
So much fun. We're going to be down there with Panther Premium Logistics. They have got a nice booth there in the West Wing, and they've invited us to come out and hang out with them and meet a bunch of people, and we'll be there. We're bringing a couple staff members. I hear some chicks are going to be there. That's what the word on the street is.
The word on the street. I hear you.
Not that you can trust the street anymore.
I hear there's going to be some boogie in there, too.
There might be a little boogie.
Oh.
Might be a little boogie.
Yeah.
But, so that is, you're correct. March 30th or April 1st, the West Wing. I'm not going to tell you the booth number because none of us are going to remember it. Just find us. We're going to be there with the Panther truck. And, we would really love to come meet some of y'all. Not all of y'all, but some of y'all.
Some of y'all, yeah.
And... No, we'd love to meet all of y'all. Come shake our hands, chat with us. We'll tell you a little bit about Panther, tell you a little bit about what we do, or we'll just talk about the weather. Hopefully it's nice.
Let's hope.
Someone asked me the other day, they're like, what kind of weather do you expect over there at Matt's? And I'm like, well, I've been there when we've sweated walking through the parking lot, and I've also been there when there were 2 inches of snow on the ground.
Wow,
so,
really?
yeah. So your guess is as good as mine. But it is a fun show. It's a big show. Bring your bottles of water. Bring your walking shoes. It's, just the West Wing where we're going to be. If you walk up and down every single row, I guarantee you it's at least half a mile. No, it's maybe more like a mile.
More than that, probably, yeah.
That's just our little section. Yeah. And there's 3 more sections that big, plus all the outside stuff. Is
there the North Wing, the East Wing, and the South Wing?
I believe, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Plus outside.
Plus outside.
Yes. Yeah. It's a good time. It's a lot. Oh, plus there's a big lobby glass atrium that's full of stuff too. Oh, it's crazy.
Lots to see.
Lots to see. They do have, usually they have some concessions. I'm pretty sure there's a beer tent.
Bourbon tent? It is
there
in
was
Kentucky.
There actually, last time we were there was a full-on liquor bar too.
Oh, well, be careful with that.
Yeah.
Be careful with that. That can get dangerous and expensive.
Yeah.
Ask me how I know.
How do you know?
Or don't ask me how I know.
Oh, okay. All right. But it's a lot of fun. Since we're on that topic, Expedite Expo, that is going to be happening July 21st to the 22nd. That's out in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And it's going to be at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum. They need to shorten that.
They really do.
But that's a fun one. That one we're actually going to be in our own booth. Hyfield Trucking will have their own booth out there. And we're also going to be sponsoring Casino Night and an after party. Casino Night's a lot of fun. Going to have some games out there: poker, blackjack,
craps,
roulette,
yeah.
Russian roulette.
No Russian roulette.
Sorry.
No. No.
We're going to have some music. We're going to have some dancing. It is a fun time.
It's a hoot.
It's a hoot nanny.
Lots of boogie in there too. I like when you say something and I repeat it. It's human nature. We do it all the time. I do it to you too.
It is human nature, and we do it all the time.
Yeah, I parrot you parrot me. Jerry just sits back and laughs. We ask Jerry to speak and we get crickets.
Anyways, well, if he'd speak loud enough in the microphone, I could hear him. Jerry, you've been unusually quiet. What has been going on in your life?
Not a lot.
Can I say something here? I realize you're trying to talk to Jerry. Jerry says not a lot's been going on in his life. He just uprooted himself and moved from Tennessee to Ohio. He purchased a new car, moved into a new place. I saw his setup the other day for this is editing setup.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
It's a full production studio.
It's a full production studio.
It's literally sponsored by Pixar.
Literally.
Unsponsored.
Unsponsored by Pixar. He's got the lamp and everything.
Everything.
And he sits there and he says he's got nothing going on. So I just wanted to add some stuff to what Jerry has going on. I get emails from Jerry daily. I need to do these videos, and I need your assistance when you're doing these things. Help me with these videos daily. But he's got nothing going on.
Here's one for you.
Yeah.
We're going to talk. This is the talk about Jerry section of the podcast, in case you're curious. Here's one for you. He's like, I'm editing all
Where's
this out.
Where's the ISO camera on, Jerry?
he's like, y'all forget I edit this podcast.
Say, I'm in control over here.
Anyways, so I get a call the other day, and Jerry's like, hey, just so you know, I've got this team coming to town, and we're shooting a video at your house tomorrow. Cool. Love it. We got a yard. We got parkland. We got all kinds of stuff, and yet we're going to film it in my dining room. All right.
I had every intention on taking them to a park that was not far down on Riverside, and that particular day was 95% rain, and it just wasn't going to work.
It ended up being a nasty day, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it was funny. It was fun. I mean, to be able to hang out with the team. They're a couple of great people. I know them very well. They've been here been with us for a while. They're one of the teams that helps me with my liquor collection, my bourbon collection. For those of you that can't see, Vince is setting up the camera for Mr. Jer Bear.
The Jerry ISO cam.
The Jerry ISO cam. Is that isolation camera or?
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, it's picking up the light and not much of Jerry.
Well, Jerry's very luminescent. Why'd you get all nervous?
He's on camera.
You've been on camera.
I know, but you've got that pointing right at me now, and you're like putting me on the spotlight.
You on the spot.
You ran a YouTube channel for like 32 years.
I wish. That is completely different. It is totally.
Go on.
totally different whenever you're just in your own element and you just got a camera facing you. And
Well, that's the thing. We want you to feel like you're in your element here and now
but I'm not.
as well.
Yeah, see, I feel like this is much easier than just having the camera on me.
Because before you were just talking, it was just you talking. Now you have a conversation we can have. Okay. All right.
So
there's that.
there's that. Jerry, it's been nice having you. So, all right. So on Saturday next week at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon California, something in between for the other states, we are going to be doing a live broadcast. That's going to be on the YouTube and or are we doing Facebook too?
We are doing Facebook too.
So YouTube and Facebook. What about Instagram?
We are
Okay, we're not doing Instagram. I just saw pure terror come over Jerry's face. All right, so YouTube and Facebook, we will be doing live on Saturday, 3 p.m.
March 4th.
March 4th, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, and 12 noon California.
And 9 a.m.
West
Hawaii.
Coast. And 9 a.m. Hawaii. And we hope that you can join in and hang out with us for a little bit. We're going to be discussing, I don't know, things
like we normally do.
like we normally do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we, we love your feedback. We've been getting it over the past few weeks. Thank you so much for supporting our channel. We are working to get this better. We're working to get it more refined. We're finding our groove.
Yeah, we are. And we'll also have moderators for your questions and comments as well. So
Absolutely.
we want some participation from the audience, and we won't be stuck to trying to read comments. We'll have somebody that's watching those for us and helping us with those questions.
Absolutely.
So
it's going to be be interesting time, right?
It will
It's going to stretch us.
It will be. And I think we'll continue to grow from that, the last 3 episodes to that, and we'll just keep growing from there.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
Look forward to it.
Well, we look forward to spending time with all y'all next weekend. And I think that's it.
I have a question for you.
Go on.
Did we get any email comments last week from the email address that we put out?
No, we got nothing on the video.
I know we got one email
We just
last
said
week.
hi.
Well, it was one email.
That was from
Somebody
a
cared enough to say
very
hi.
important person too.
Right. Somebody cared enough to at least reach out.
You.
Thank you. I just want my acknowledgement, Patrick. That's it.
Who do you
Acknowledgement.
think you are?
Chili. That's all I need to be. I am who I am, and that's all that I am. That's a quote from Popeye. Probably too old for either one of you.
That's the spinach liker
The spinach
Oh, I
snack.
know Papa.
Okay.
with is it Oliver?
Olive oil.
Olive oil.
You can reach us on Facebook. We've got a Facebook presence, the Outer Belt Podcast. I know there's an underscore in there somewhere. We do have an email address, the Outer Belt Podcast @gmail.com. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok.
Instagram is the _Outer Belt. The Facebook is the Outer Belt. The email address is the Outer Belt @gmail.com. You can call us at
555-1212. That's Jerry's direct line.
555-OUTERBELT. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be
wouldn't it?
cool.
We should work
Yeah.
on that.
That'd be cool. Probably expensive, but it'd be
Very
cool.
expensive.
Yeah.
And we'll have all this information down in the description.
Yes, and I will have it all on Facebook. Not that it'll help you,
Yeah.
because if you didn't already know it, then
And if you're out there doing this thing we call expediting, or you want to do this thing called expediting, reach out to us. What I was going to say is, if you're out there watching us, share it with your friends that are drivers or might find this interesting and entertaining while they're rolling down the road and just want to laugh. Subscribe to our channel, or whether it's a YouTube channel or a podcast on your favorite podcast app. Subscribe to our Facebook page and feed, and help us build some support for what's going on here. If you like us, if you don't like us, help us anyway. We appreciate that.
absolutely. Just because you don't like us, maybe someone else will.
Right. You never know. We think we're funny.
Like, haha, funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and kind of like let's get those guys committed. Funny too.
I think we have our moments.
We do. We really do.
This isn't one of them, but we do have them. So, Jerry, how have you transitioned to life? Not being on the road anymore, having a regular job, working 9 to 5.
What a way to make a living, Jerry.
The line is barely getting by.
Speechless.
Barely getting by.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. Now, what makes you say that?
It's been an adjustment.
Yeah.
It's been good. It's all been good though.
Cool. Drive safe, everybody.
Don't leave money on the table, huh? Do me a favor. Just don't.
And keep those wheels a turning.
Bye.